Hi, I want to talk about Microsoft's prices, and no, I have not been kidnapped and put in the most bland beige room possible that makes me look even paler than I actually am, and that everything is shaking because I'm in a loft. Sorry, I'll hide my face for most of this video and hopefully be back to my normal place soon. But let's talk about Microsoft and the $80 switcheroo. Microsoft has decided that, well, yes, charging $80 for an RPG, even one that looks as fun as Outer Worlds 2, was stupid. And they decided that was so stupid, they actually made an advert about how dumb it was. An advert for an RPG that skewers capitalistic greed. That's the world we live in. If you haven't yet heard, Outer Worlds 2 will now no longer sell for $80, but instead for $70. Some have hailed this as a win for public critique. Others, like myself, just see it as Microsoft being one of the worst companies for games lately, trying as hard as they can to steal that title from EA and Embracer Group. Between the mass layoffs that crippled one of the most successful MMORPG studios out there, as well as canceling of several single-player projects, all anticipated titles from renowned studios, all just really to make way for AI spending to make awesome adverts like this. To trying to seemingly do everything possible to make people sign up for Game Pass, which hasn't been limited to making good games, but making those games prohibitively expensive. $80 for Outer Worlds 2, $70 for Doom: The Dark Ages, $70 for Avowed, the rumored $80 for Borderlands 4 price tag for real fans that turned out to actually be a $70 price tag. Avowed, quite simply, didn't make sense to be priced that high, especially with Obsidian's public statements about trying to stay lean and not overdo it with games, just creating solid games, not giant, super expensive games. And yet, it came at a higher price point than comparative RPGs this year by $10 to $20 more. I think that, more than anything else, is why we have heard so very little about Avowed this year. Fewer people played it because it was expensive. I also think there's an argument to be made for Doom's price tag limiting its reach this year, and I was concerned the same was going to happen to the Outer Worlds 2 as well as Borderlands 4. One thing all of these had in common was that they were on Game Pass. That is, with the notable exception of Borderlands 4, which won't be on Game Pass as far as I know, but it also did like this same little switcheroo with pricing. The other thing that at least two of them now have in common is what I'm going to unscientifically call floating price anchoring. Price anchoring is a marketing tactic you really see everywhere. What it is essentially anchoring the price you want people to pay with prices above and or below. The clearest examples of this are when you see multiple subscription tiers for gaming, regular, deluxe, and like collector's editions. For fun, let's say you get those priced at $50, $60, and $80. Regular might be reasonably priced, but the deluxe had a head start. But it's still, $10 more than the regular. But oh, hey, look, the collector's edition. That's a lot of cool shit. But, it's $30 more. You want it, you want that cool shit, you want the horse armor, but you can't justify spending $80. So you go back and look at the $50 and the $60 prices. But now there's this thing happening. That $60 price tag that seemed ridiculous for just a head start. Well, now it's anchored by that exorbitant $80. It now looks like a better deal, and psychologically, you're more likely to buy the $60 version because the $80 version exists than if it didn't. And no, I'm not trying to sit here and say that you personally would fall for this price anchoring. I'm just saying it is a known marketing tactic. You can Google it, you can look it up. It's a thing. So how does this work specifically for these games, and why am I bringing it up here with this idea of Outer Worlds 2 now being $70 instead of $80? Well, $70 now that you knew it might have been $80, is kind of anchored. That price is anchored by the price it was. It is no longer the $80. Now maybe you're getting a deal. That's kind of the whole idea. Even with Borderlands 4, which admittedly I've been kind of mean in putting it in this video in the first place, there was this whole idea of this leaked price, this whole hubbub around the price being $80, and then when it came out and turned out it was $70, well, people were happy that it wasn't as expensive that way, So it's just this floating price anchor. I'm also not trying to say that Microsoft somehow planned this from the start. I don't actually have my tinfoil hat with me. I think I left it at home. I think honestly the most likely thing is they looked at performance over the last year or 2 years of games on Game Pass, as well as the pricing things and seeing how things worked or didn't work out, as well as perhaps maybe looking at saying pre-orders and seeing if they were not where they had hoped they would be for some of these games for Outer Worlds 2, and seeing maybe we should make a change, and I guess maybe some market research, and maybe listening a little bit, a tiny bit, to us screaming at them that we don't want this. Although Ubisoft just told us all that we love microtransactions because they make game more fun. So maybe they don't listen. But there is certainly some euphoria around these now discounted prices. So I kind of wanted to make this video specifically to talk about this issue because it just feels weird and gross to me. We aren't far removed from $70 being an exorbitant price. So to see it as a discount is a bit alarming. Games are expensive to make, and developers need to be paid. I just find it hard to feel justified paying those prices for a company that seems so antagonistic to the very developers making their games. You know, among the 9,000 or so employees they laid off, fired. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about this because yes, personally, I am very excited to play Outer Worlds 2. It looks like it's gonna be a really fun game, and I was gonna cover it no matter what, but at least this is just an interesting gaming story when it comes to prices and what we as gamers are willing or not willing to pay for games. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think about these pricing changes? Do you use Game Pass? Will you be using Game Pass to play these games, or have you used it this year to make up for some of these expensive game prices? Let me know in the comment section below. My name is Redbird Flynn. Thank you so much for dealing with me and having this really shitty setup with the shitty lighting and the somewhat shitty audio and everything bouncing around. I appreciate it. I will be hopefully home soon. This was not on purpose. I had to leave the house and it's a lot. Anyway, thank you so much, and I appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.